Hello and welcome to this second psoas muscle tutorial. Hope you've all had the chance to do the first one, and remember, if you need one of the soft balls, to give us a call because we have got a few here if you need any. Today all you're going to need for the practice is your yoga mat, and you don't need to have two. I'm just working on my travel mat, but if you've got your normal yoga mat, it needs to be rolled up softly, and this is going to be the prop for the last exercise that we do. So we've been releasing and we've been softening the lower psoas. Remember, there's two parts to this psoas muscle, the front and the back, the upper and the lower. And today we're going to release and we're going to tone the upper psoas and lengthen and tone both the upper and the lower. And it's a complete workout where it is the second part of the video. So together, if you do all of them together, it should be a good hour-long class for yourself or thereabouts. And it's something that you can find the exercises within the whole of this tutorial and the other tutorial. I'm really focused on the ones that you get the most from. So it's about listening in really real detail to your body. So today we're going to be working with the solar plexus and we're going to be releasing through the upper psoas. So the solar plexus being that part of just above 2 inches above the navel, and think of that in the back space as well as we're trying to release through the whole psoas. So I'm going to do the movements, Dave's going to do the talking, so that you can try and work in harmony with watching the moves as well as listening to the instructions. So let's get into the constructive rest position, which is the CRP, which is where you begin each of these. So let's lie down on our backs, and the CRP is with the knees bent 45 degrees, feet in line with the hips, and just really, when you come to do this, have a little bit more time and rest there, and just allow the hips and the psoas muscle to soften, release, and let go. Obviously, it takes longer than this I'm doing now, but I want to get through the whole of the different movements we're going to do. So establish the perfect CRP, and now I'll hand you over to Dave, who will just gently read through instructions as we work together.
Firstly, lift the arms straight up, the distance apart of the shoulder sockets and with the palms facing each other. Sense the weight of each arm as it releases at the shoulder socket. Move both arms over the head towards the floor and allow the weight of the arms to soften the solar plexus and the upper psoas. But do not push the arms to the floor by arching the low back. Keep the spine neutral while softening the solar plexus and let go of any extra muscle tension. To return the arms to the start position, keep the weight centered with the pelvis and the feet. Lightly push the feet into the ground to lift the arms, maintaining a soft, supple psoas.
Notice the movement is really slow and really mindful. And you can repeat this one as many times as you like. Keep the eyes open. And we're gently going to move to the next one slowly. Does it tell you anything not to do on that pose?
No.
We're all good. Release the hands slowly back by your side. As we progress now to the next, which is, you've done this one last time, but there's going to be some extra movement. Before, you were just sliding the foot slowly along the ground and releasing. Now we're going to do a little bit more action, so I'll leave you, Dave, to describe it. And remember, if you feel that the chin is going too high up or tucking too low, this is when you should put the little folded up towel or blanket underneath your head.
Now, when the leg can fully extend without involving the pelvis, release at the hip socket and lift the extended leg the height of that hip socket. The neutral psoas should free the leg to lift up and down, side to side and diagonally. Simultaneously, sense the weight on the side with the bent leg and foot, and then switch sides.
So the movement is just gentle up and down. Three to 5 inches, yeah. Up, down, side to side, and across diagonally. Moving all parts of that psoas muscle. And then slide it back, and we'll repeat on the left side. Remember to stay connected to the pelvis to make sure it's not being compromised and you're not weighting yourself one side more than the other. Up and down. Side to side. And don't have it high up here. Make sure it is in line with the hip socket. Don't go up here. Keep it in line. Feel the release across the psoas and the front here, the hip flexor. And when you move it side to side, just feel any release through the side aspects of the inner groin. And just really begin to listen to the action of that psoas muscle. And identify in your body if there's one side clinging more than the other. So we'll move on to the next area. So to do this, we need to roll over slowly onto whichever side is good for you. We're going to come up onto all fours. And the first thing to do is to establish the perfect tabletop. So I'll just leave you with Dave to describe a bit.
Soften through the ball and socket hip joint and release the psoas and lengthen one leg.
I'm going to move up a little bit so I've got room. But make sure you can feel the weight equally distributed in the hands and the knees when you're in this space. And make sure you can feel the release through the socket, the hip socket when it says. So when we now release and extend the right leg, go for it, Dave.
The pelvis now should stay balanced and the spine neutral. Provide abdominal tone to maintain a neutral spine. Return the leg and then switch sides. Once lengthening is achieved, move the extended leg up and down a maximum of 3 to 5 inches and then side to side, keeping a released supple psoas.
So try not to twist, torque to the side. Try to keep the hips, the pelvis square. Try not to dip the head down. Try and keep the spine in a nice straight line. And then just move up and down 3 to 5 inches. A gentle pulsing action and a toning of the psoas. Side to side. On both sides. Any other do's and don'ts, Dave?
No, that's it.
And it's a tricky one because what we do, we often compensate and we do twist and we do torque and we do it, and that means turning the body like this round. So try and concentrate when you're doing it. Try and concentrate on keeping everything in neutral, the spine, the hip, and try and listen to the body talking to you. Hard to demonstrate and do, much easier to do on your own in your own time. So once you've grasped it, really come on to that point of like making sure that you're listening to and connecting to it. So we're going to come down now onto our backs, onto the next one, and this is when you'll need your rolled up yoga mat. If you're not, I mean, you don't need to lie on your yoga mat, so you should all have a yoga mat, I'm hoping. This is going to go underneath your pelvis, and I'll leave Dave to direct us, to give us instructions.
Leg lengthening frees the bones to align in a weight-bearing position. The aligned joints are then free to move without compensation. Lengthening the whole psoas articulates the leg from the trunk, relaxes the abdominal core, and expands the rib cage and increases range of motion. Now, with the yoga mat directly under the pelvis, depending upon the height and the width, allow the pelvis to drop over the front edge of the mat. Doing so opens the front of the hip socket and lengthens the lower psoas.
So when you're in this place, in your constructive rest position, again your CRP, it's just giving that psoas muscle chance to settle, to be in that place now of lengthening and opening the muscle. And this is a hard one when we've been clinging onto it so much over this last 12 months with fear and anxiety. So from this point now, when we start to move, again, we're going into the action of sliding that foot along the ground. So we just slide the right leg first of all and allow it to open through that front hip space. So we just concentrate first of all on the lower part. Swapping from the right to the left. And if you feel you want to have that connection to that space, remember, connect to that space at the ball joint. And then we'll move on to the upper body as well.
Lengthen the upper psoas is on the same side by extending the arm over the head. Maintain CRP on the opposite side. Open the throat and relax the jaw. Starting from the breastbone or the heart area, begin a gentle spiral towards the extended side, looking up at the elbow.
So if you notice from this, you follow the hand with your eyes And as it moves, you move your eyes, and then you get to a point where you're looking at the eye, at the wrist, the palm and the elbow, and you then start to spiral the head and move the head, follow it all the way down, and you're opening right the way through the upper psoas there. And again, we'll do that both sides. And don't forget to relax through the hips. Again, listen to the body. You might identify some patterns within the body from this is where the head, the neck, the shoulders all come into play with this psoas muscle, and you begin to learn the overwork sides of the body and the compensatory sides where you're using the muscles on the opposite side to compensate for the usage. Okay, so now we'll come to using both together. And to do this, extend the leg and then move the arm at the same time, releasing the lower and the upper psoas. And allow it some time to release and relax. Let the weight of gravity work on that front and lower back psoas, as well as the upper psoas through that solar plexus space. Coming back. And let's go to the other side. It might be easier not on a yoga mat, maybe on the base when you're sliding the legs. Allow that lower muscle, the weight of it to go. And again, you'd repeat this several times until you find the release, the pattern of the release through the bodily, listening to the body and understanding where you've got areas where it's tight, where it's holding on to. So you would just keep repeating it. And lift, and let's take this out and let's come back to the constructive rest and just notice now how the body feels. Open your eyes, come into all sensation around. And slowly roll over to whichever side is easiest for you to push yourself up. When you've done this, you would then stand and you'd walk around for 10 minutes barefoot so that you can just really connect to the sensation of this psoas muscle and how it's worked through that release, the lengthening, the toning of the muscle. So there's lots of action to be taken with this psoas muscle, and it does take lots of practice, continual effort, and it isn't going to do it with just these 2 videos. So I hope that you continue to practice it, especially if you are suffering with any hip issues, any neck and shoulder issues, upper back, lower back, all kind of like connected to the psoas muscle. So thank you for your time, and thank you, Dave, for that super commentary. And I thank you all for taking the time to do these videos and for giving yourself time and space to commit to your health. And this psoas muscle is so beneficial in so many ways. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Namaste.